It was never something I dreamed about. I was never one of those girls who wanted to grow up and just be a mom. But somehow it happened, and part of me envied those just be a mom girls. In the same way, I'd often say, why can't I just love math when referring to my college major? You see, I studied music dance theater, and it was brutally competitive. You were either too short, too loud, not pretty enough, or just plain not talented enough, or maybe that was just me. Loving math would have been so much easier. But here I was, a very reluctant and frightened new mother, wondering if I was the only one who struggled in such heavy ways with my new responsibilities. Utterly overwhelmed and under-rested, up to my eyeballs in postpartum depression, and counting down the days until Lucy started kindergarten so I could get some rest, I trudged onward day by day. Do girls who just want to be a mom struggle like this? Ugh, math. But of course, I grew to love her in that brilliant and bright way that only mothers can experience. She amazed me with her full head of blonde curls and blueberry eyes, and the way she bounced and twirled in her Johnny jumper with contagious exuberance. I finally got help with my depression, and the whole experience of motherhood expanded my capacity to love in ways I never knew possible. Like a hot air balloon being filled with forceful fire, I was aloft in flight and glowing with my love for her. Don't get me wrong, I was exhausted and had many moments when I still dreamed of the day she'd be in the care of the public school system from 8 to 3, because that's just the bad kind of mother that I am. I didn't call her little shitlin for nothing. Yet, I loved her more than anything. But kindergarten never came for my firstborn. Just 2 weeks shy of her second birthday, my Lucy Sweet choked on an apple in our church parking lot. It was a beautiful spring day in Park City. It had been an unusually long and harsh winter, even for our mountain town, and we welcomed this beautiful Sabbath spring weather with open arms. Lucy wore her bright pink shoes for the first time, and a matching pink ribbon adorned her corn silk head of hair. Visions of her upcoming Peter Pan-themed birthday party danced in my head as we sat down for the opening song at church that day. But we didn't last long. Lucy started acting up, and nothing worked to calm her tantrums. I took her to the lobby, coaxing her with cookies, but the sugary goodness made no difference. Eventually, we made our way to the car and readied ourselves to leave. After buckling her in her car seat, my hands went to twist the keys in the ignition, and that's when I heard the choking sounds. I bolted from the car and extracted her from her car seat, yelling at my husband to come help. I could tell this was different. Lucy's face locked on mine as my husband began the Heimlich maneuver, and I saw the look of sheer panic and confusion in those blueberry eyes. It's an image etched solidly in my soul. I began yelling as my husband raced to the fire station adjacent to our church parking lot. I watched as her body went limp in his arms, as he began banging tirelessly on the glass doors of the station. People began pouring out of the church building, and soon we were surrounded by medical professionals, working tirelessly as they administered CPR. I laid in shock on the cement until they carried both of our bodies away, hers in a helicopter to the hospital, and mine to a car which sped down the mountain to meet her. 4 grueling days later, we said goodbye to our Lucia, our light. She was surrounded by my mother and father, my in-laws, aunts and uncles, a few close friends, and her broken parents. She had gone without oxygen for too long, and the brain damage was too severe. The apple piece had been lodged in a difficult spot. We did all that we could do. After saying our sorrowful and sweet goodbyes, I had the honor of lying in the hospital bed with her, holding her precious body in my lap, my arms enfolding her as they wheeled us down the hallway toward the operating room where they would harvest her organs. When we reached the yellow line on the floor indicating that was as far as we were allowed to go, I stretched my arms out and gave her body to the surgeon. As I stepped off the bed onto the cold hospital floor, it felt like my life, my heart and liver and kidneys that I just handed over. Barely able to breathe, yet alone walk, I shuffled down the barren hallway, broken and afraid. My colorful hot air balloon was crashing violently to the earth, and my once expanded heart was deflating rapidly. I had no idea how I would go on living, how I would ever rise again. Just then, I saw my own mother. sitting with an open lap, her arms stretched out, waiting to hold me. I cried a rainstorm of tears and snot as her arms enfolded me, just as my arms had enfolded my only child moments before. My mother was grieving twofold. She was grieving the loss of her precious granddaughter, and she was grieving for the pain of her daughter's loss. Yet her arms remained steady and sure around me. I don't remember what she said. Did she say anything? But I remember how I felt. That she was wise. That she would see me through this. That she ached with me and for me, beside me and completely. I was a child once again, unable to do much for myself, and there she was, willing to teach me how to walk again. 8 years and 2 more little shitlins later, I am walking. In fact, I'm running. Sometimes away from my children, but still I'm running. Learning to live again was not easy. I repeat, not easy. I never knew a human being could experience such intense pain and not actually die from it. But one foot in front of the other, and one drug and therapy session at a time, I started walking again, my mother by my side the entire way. Just a few months ago, I had the rare opportunity to go on a trip to Italy with my parents. No kids, no husband, just me and mom and dad. And boy, did we walk. We walked the pants off of Rome. Metro stops, gardens, museums, squares, restaurants, airports, train stations, cobblestone streets, cathedrals, markets, churches, the Colosseum, the Vatican. We walked and walked and walked. But there was one point in our whirlwind walking tour of Rome that stopped me dead in my tracks and caught my breath in my chest. It was the moment when we stood at the foot of Michelangelo's Pieta in Vatican City. I doubt there are very many of you here who don't know this famous sculpture, but just in case, it is, in my opinion, one of Michelangelo's greatest masterpieces. This famous work of art depicts the body of Jesus on the lap of his mother Mary after the crucifixion. As I stared in awe at this famous work of art and history, my mother at my side, the following thought came to me with great emphasis. Even when they are grown, we hold them. Whether our children have passed from this earth or not, we each, as mothers, mourn the loss of their small innocence, of holding them in our laps and rocking them, smelling their sweet heads and holding their bodies against ours. Letting them go, whether to death or to life, requires great strength and hope. Strength to accept where they are or where they are heading, and hope that they'll somehow return to our arms.